not only at the raising of our national flag on this, our nation's birthday, but also to be witness to the retirement of a flag that has represented our country with honor and is now too worn to continue.
First color guard, attention. First color guard, advance. First color guard, post colors. First color guard, display colors.
We have been asked today to retire this flag in a manner prescribed by the Congress of the United States of America. We consider this an honor and duty to our country we reverently accept. Yes, we really do. It is fitting to speculate on where this flag might have been flown, who might have seen it, and who might have been inspired by it to give their best for our country and the cause of liberty. Did it fly over a school, perhaps, and inspire a generation of children to revere it in our country? Perhaps it flew over a government building and reminded the officials therein of their sacred duty to the people they serve. I don't know this flag's exact age, but maybe it flew proudly on September 11th in 2001, and in the days after, showing the world that America, attacked and wounded, had not fallen, and all that the attackers had done was seal their own doom. Maybe it was flying on September the 14th of 2012, when a madman fatally shot 20 children and 6 adults to death in Connecticut, and reminded the world that we come together in the face of tragedy and close ranks around those who suffer in the face of anguish, and we heal together. Maybe it's old enough to remember Apollo 11 and stand witness to our nation's greatest technological and human triumph, landing on the moon and returning safely home. Different versions of this flag have flown and represented the United States of America virtually from its beginning. On June 14th of 1777, the Continental Congress passed the first flag act of our fledgling nation. As our country grew, our nation's flag changed and represented our growing nation. During the Revolutionary War, the various incarnations of our flag stood witness to the birth of our great nation and all the violence that entailed. For just shy of 8 years, various versions of the Stars and Stripes went to war and flew over our Continental Army as it struggled to bring forth our great nation and remove the army of what had become an occupying force. And washed in the blood of those who had fought under her and succeeded in giving rise to this great nation of ours, the Stars and Stripes was raised over this great land of ours and flew as the standard of a new nation, one conceived in liberty and dedicated to equality for all who lived under her and sustained her. Probably one of the most defining moments of our flag's history, and of course our nation's history, happened a short 35 years after the first flag rose victorious out of the strife and agony that was our Revolutionary War. Francis Scott Key, poet, lawyer, erstwhile diplomat, was attempting to secure the release of a doctor that had been captured by the invading British forces. Instead, he too was detained and had to watch the assault on Fort McHenry from a British warship. Even though they were some distance away, the flag that flew over the fort was humongous and was easily seen from Francis's viewpoint. Washington, D.C. had been attacked. The White House and the Capitol was burned. The President and the federal government was in hiding. These were very dark days for the United States of America. Would she finally fall? Would America cease to exist and Great Britain again exert her dominance over us? As the bombardment of Fort McHenry went into the night and then into the morning, the ordnance that fell on the fort surely seemed to indicate that would be the case. But then in the dawning hours of September 14th of 1814, something remarkable happened. As the dawning light turned the sky from black to blue, Francis looked out over the Chesapeake Bay and saw a wondrous sight. That huge 30-foot by 42-foot flag still flew over Fort McHenry. The fort remained in American hands, and the British fleet that was attempting to invade Baltimore Harbor had to retreat. Ultimately, after 2 years and 8 months of fighting, the Treaty of Ghent ended that war, and yet again the flag of the United States of America stood firm and flew proudly over America. I guess it'd be a bit of a quandary for some as to how many stars should have been flown on the U.S. flag during the Civil War. The southern breakaway states wanted to succeed. Why should our flag still represent these states who didn't even want to be states? Our American government's position was that they didn't recognize the legitimacy of that succession. So participating states or not, they were still represented on the flag of the United States of America. It was a matter of intense pride for units during the Civil War that their battle flag should never fall to the ground in battle. And flag bearers were practiced in carefully carrying their flag into battle, and were heavily protected during battle. Should the color bearer be killed and the flag fall, it was immediately raised by a member of the color guard protecting it. The pride of a unit's flag kept the unit's morale high and served as a point of cohesion, a gathering point for a unit during battle. Perhaps no other time in our nation's history has our flag and our national identity been challenged as severely as when 11 states wanted to secede from our union. The battles that decided the question were nothing short of grisly. Our nation shuddered at the loss of life, but we shuddered more at the thought of our nation divided against itself and the ideals that founded our nation torn apart. Yet 4 years and too many lives lost later, our union was preserved, and America was whole again, and our flag still stood with all her stars intact. On February 23, 1945, the United States of America, embroiled in the Second World War, found 70,000 Marines, Navy corpsmen, and airmen in the fourth day of a fierce battle on a volcanic island called Iwo Jima. The volcano, Mount Suribachi, had been dug through with tunnels, and the defending Japanese were well dug in. On this fourth day of a battle that would last over another month, Mount Suribachi had been cut off above ground from the rest of the island, but the system of tunnels dug into the mountain still represented a very deadly threat from the Japanese defenders. After 2 patrols went up the mountain to scout out the route, a platoon of Marines went up and had a small U.S. flag with them. Finding a pipe in the rubble on top of the mountain, the small flag was raised. Later, 5 Marines and a Navy corpsman raised a larger flag on the mountaintop, and that iconic image of that act is ingrained in the imagery of our nation. 3 of the 6 Americans who raised that large flag would fall before that battle ended over a month later. Today, there is still a memorial on top of Mount Suribachi, and the U.S. flag still flies next to it. I don't know how to feel that these few boys and girls who currently wear the uniform of Troop and Crew 404 are not old enough to have first-hand knowledge of that terrible day almost 13 years ago, when our country was attacked by those whose ideology would enslave us all and force their belief system upon every one of us. That they have had to grow up not knowing peace in this world and daily hear of war casualties from both sides. And this is their norm enrages me. Much like my friends, my brother, and close relatives and I had to grow up with the daily gloom of Vietnam. But for just a moment, let's revisit that terrible day. We all have our personal story of where we were that day when the attack happened. Personally, I was running late for work, and I was in the shower when a work associate called on our work radios and said, "If you don't know what's going on, get to a TV right now." I scrambled out of the shower, and my wife had heard the call too, and we ran into the living room and turned the TV on. I came into the room soaking wet and wrapped in a towel just in time to see the second plane hit the second tower. We watched in stunned horror as the towers burned and eventually collapsed. The newsman told of the plane that crashed into the Pentagon and the one that had crashed in Pennsylvania. I remember thinking as the towers collapsed, my God, we're watching people die right now on live TV. I had heard an estimate that on any given day, as many as 25 or 30,000 people worked and occupied the towers during the day. some days even more. When those towers came down, the horror of that potential for death staggered me. But then amongst all that destruction and death, as we grieved for those who had certainly perished, and we tried to understand the gravity of what happened and why it happened, a small miracle of sorts took place. 3 firefighters who were on the scene that day saw an American flag flying from a yacht that was anchored close by. They went and collected that flag and took it to the site of the destruction. The remains of a flagpole stuck out of the rubble. Its cord was still attached. They didn't even know there was a news photographer watching them who recorded the moment. But they climbed up on the rubble to where the flagpole rose at an angle, attached the flag they collected from that yacht, and raised it in front of the destruction. The images, again, of this act of patriotism are again engraved into our national psyche. The United States of America had been attacked and had been dealt a severe wound, one that for many still lays open and unhealed to this day. But the act of those 3 firefighters showed that America had not fallen and will not fall as long as men of patriotism exist, such as these 3 men. Still trying to figure out what to do or how to feel, I went into my hall closet and got our home's flag. And I took it out onto my front porch and hung it there. Then my neighbors did the same thing, and then their neighbors, and then their neighbors. Soon it was impossible to go to any store and find an American flag to purchase. The demand had totally outnumbered the production of American flags. The images from every corner of this nation showed flags displayed from every pole, from every home, and from cars and trucks going down the road. Again, our flag rose and stood steadfast, even in the face of destruction and aggression against us. And America once again closed our ranks and healed together under the banner that has defined our nation since its beginning. And wounded and grieving and down but for a moment in time, Old Glory still rose and stood proud yet still. These few members of our Ward Scout Troop, and hopefully the genesis of a venture crew, 5 boys and 1 girl who have taken the challenge of becoming better people through our scouting program. They're all brand new to the program. Today is their first public outing as scouts. On every uniformed member of the Boy Scouts of America, there is one patch that is common to us all: the flag of the United States of America. Troop numbers may differ, patrol and council patches may differ, and position and rank patches may differ. But the one patch that remains the same in all of our uniforms is the flag of the United States of America. It's the only patch that's on the uniform when we buy it. Kind of a comical thing that will happen periodically. The group of scouts or some leaders will get together to have a meeting for whatever purpose. And by whatever mix-up that happens, nobody will have remembered to bring a flag so the group can say the Pledge of Allegiance to open the meetings as is their custom. No worries. It's right there. All one scout or leader has to do is turn his shoulders to the group, and the pledge is carried out as if nothing was wrong. The major charge of any scout leader is to develop a scout's character, their citizenship, and their mental and physical fitness. Citizenship in the community and citizenship in the nation are 2 of the most important required merit badges for any scout who wants to earn his Eagle Scout badge, and really for any scout at all. The document that established the United States of America as a sovereign nation is our Declaration of Independence, which was presented to the Continental Congress on this day 238 years ago. Its last line reads, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. As this flag, which has served her part in defining America, is now retired, the smoke she produces will raise her American spirit to heaven and to the souls of our founding fathers and those who fought for her and paid the ultimate sacrifice for her. They will receive this aroma and in spirit will again raise this flag to a place of honor in showing the United States of America as mankind's best hope for freedom and success for all. And in spirit, she will stand again.
Second color guard, attention. Second color guard, advance. Second color guard, display colors. Second color guard, prepare to raise colors. First color guard, review colors. First color guard, retire colors. Second color guard, hoist colors.
Hang on. Grab the flag. This is okay. We're going to reverse it. We've got it backwards.
Second color guard, Victor or Halyard.
As the spirit of this retired flag raises to the heavens, its spirit passes our current flag that we raise in her stead. And this American spirit is passed one to another. And as the spirit is passed, our national symbol endures. The United States of America must also endure as humanity's last best hope of dignity for all, equality for all, and the success of all of mankind. The last three words of our Declaration of Independence are our sacred honor. The first three words of the Boy Scout oath are on my honor. And this youth's honor wasn't described as sacred, but if it is our personal honor we are basing a pledge on, shouldn't we consider our personal honor as being sacred to us? And if our sacred honor is what we base our love for and our citizenship in the United States of America on, our work and desire to sustain her and better her should burn brightly in our hearts. The stars and stripes, O glory, is a flag that identifies its bearer as a citizen of the United States of America. She has stood in good times and bad. She has stood proudly in peacetime and in conflict. She has healed our national soul when we were attacked and we grieved for our fallen brethren. She identifies us as a people who sacrifice for each other and are generous with our excess. And she identifies us as a people united by our sacred honor. And through all this, she still stands today.
Those in uniform, salute. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2.
Okay, thank you, brothers and sisters and my fellow Americans. And we say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you. Well done, guys. Good job. Everybody, good job. Let's eat.